Okay, let's take a look at 2 4-out, 1-in basketball plays. Now, everybody loves to make, a huge deal about the 5-out motion offense and how that's such a great continuous motion offense, but it's also important to have diversity in our set plays as well. We want to be able to do more than just a 5-out. We want to be able to have plays in our playbook that result in easy baskets, not just our continuous movement, our continuous motion, right? So using a 4-out, 1-in is a great way to kind of incorporate different plays into our basketball system. So let's take a look at some 4-out, 1-in basketball plays that result in either easy layups or outside shots. Again, we're starting here with 4 people outside the three-point line and 1 person inside, closer to the key in that dunker spot. Usually that's going to be one of our bigs, right? Either a 5 or a 4, somebody who can finish around the rim. But these plays are a little bit more complex than that. We're not just going to have a basic, pass into that dunker spot, right? We're going to get people moving a little bit. We're going to try to get an easy layup for our team, or again, an outside jump shot option as well.
Okay, let's take a look here at the 4-out, 1-in offense and how we will set up. So we're going to go over a play in a minute, the perfect 4-out, 1-in play, in my opinion. It's one of my favorites, but let's just quickly go over how to set up for a 4-out, 1-in. So as we can see here, we have 4 players set up outside of the three-point line and 1 player set up inside of the three-point line. So it's very simple. It's as simple as that. We have 4 players outside and 1 player in. So if you're running a 5-out, right, which is, some of the most commonly used offensive systems come from a 5-out, you're just bringing this player outside of the three-point line. But for a 4-out, 1-in, you're going to have this player inside of the three-point line. This is probably going to be one of your stronger post players if you have one, or one of your bigs, but it doesn't have to be. It can be anybody on your team. Now, a lot of players like to have this 1-in player in the dunker spot, which means that, if a player drives to the basket and the defense collapses, they can often dish it over to their post player in the dunker spot to get what would be known in the NBA as a dunk. But most likely, if you're dealing with younger teams, it'll be a layup, or, if you're dealing with maybe high school ages, you might be able to get a dunk in there as well. But for this particular play that we're going to look at for a 4-out, 1-in offense, we're going to bring the post player here around the free throw line, kind of as if we were going to run a horn style offense. But again, we only have that 1 player in. Okay. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to have this player penetrate into the 3-point line a little bit. Okay. Our first option is going to be that number 1 with the basketball is going to come right here, tight to number 5, and number 5 is going to set a screen for them. And we're going to have a pick and roll here between number 5 and number 1, right? Number 1 driving to the basket and number 5 rolling. So our options right here are for number 1 to drive, number 5 to roll, but then we also have our shooters outside of the key ready to shoot the basketball and or catch and drive. Right. So sometimes, the reason that some coaches use a 4-out, 1-in instead of a 5-out is because it allows, for a penetration to happen, a paint touch to happen a little bit quicker than you might get in a 5-out motion offense. And that, allows the defense to start moving, and then your offense is moving as well. Okay. But that's just our first option. That's not our main option of this play. We're going to look at now is our main option. And that is number 1 comes over here, but they're going to run a dribble handoff with number 2. They're still going to come inside the 3-point line so we can get some penetration going. But number 2 is going to receive this basketball here for the dribble handoff. Okay, now after number 1 gives the dribble handoff to number 2, they're going to set a screen right here. So we have number 1 doing the dribble handoff to number 2, and they're setting a screen. When number 2 comes off of that screen, number 5 is then going to move up as well and set another screen here for number 2. So we have 2 back-to-back stagger screens being set here for number 2. Right? First one by number 1 and the second one by number 5. Okay. And now we're going to run that same type of action. Number 5 is setting the second screen here. Number 1 is going to try to drive it to the basket, but number 5 is also going to roll to the basket. So we have our pick and roll here between number 2 and number 5. And in a similar situation now, we also have these players, number 4, number 3, and number 1, outside of the 3-point line, ready to catch that ball. When they catch that ball, it can either be a drive, it can be a jump shot, it can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, let's take a look at this one more time with our main option here. Okay, So number 5's here. So we want a little bit of a penetration here, nothing too much, a little bit of a penetration, but then number 1 is going to look for number 5, and they're going to run that dribble handoff about right here. Okay, as number 1 gives the dribble handoff to number 2, they're setting a screen here for number 2. Okay, so the ball is now in number 2's hands, and number 2 is going to try to drive it to the basket. Okay, number 2 is running that drive to the basket. And number 1 is then going to pop to the 3-point line. And then number 5 is going to come in and set that second screen, right? Number 2, like we said, is driving to the basket, maybe a little bit more tight than what I just had that player move toward. Number 5 is going to roll. Number 2 is going to cut to the basket. And then we have our shooters here on the outside, right? And they are ready to receive the ball if the defense collapses and we have some shooters wide open. So that is my favorite 4-out 1-in basketball drill. It is a great system, very similar to the 5-out motion offense in the sense that, you're just continuously moving, right? It's based on principles, right? We want to pass that ball and get the ball swinging. If we do have a defense collapsing right here in the key, we can kick it out, right? We can kick it out, or we can kick it out back here. And that is basically, the principles that we achieve with the 5-out motion offense, which is everybody's outside of the key. They're ready to shoot that basketball. They're ready. They're ready to drive it if they need to. They're ready to swing the basketball. We're still going to keep those offensive principles the same, but we're going to start it a little bit differently, and that is with one player inside of the key. Now, are we using them to post up? In this particular play, no. We're using them to set that screen and drive to the basket for a roll. That's my favorite 4-out 1-in basketball play.
All right, folks, that is all we have for today's particular topic. If you made it this far into today's lesson, it is greatly appreciated. Now, if you guys could also do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to our channel, it would also be greatly appreciated. We are the Online Basketball Academy. My name is Coach Danny, and I continuously upload different basketball plays, basketball systems, basketball tactics, and basketball drills that youth basketball players or training basketball players can use, or basketball coaches can use with their players and their teams. Like I said, folks, if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to make this type of content for you all, that would be greatly appreciated. Till next time, peace out. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a 4-out 1-in basketball play. Okay, so as we can see here, we have our 4 players outside of the 3-point line. Right, we have our 1 player in that dunker spot right there. Okay, so how this play is going to work, we're going to try to get almost a pick and roll style look here for a wide open layup. Okay, so we have our point guard right here, number 1. We're going to have a 5, a big right here, another big right here outside. And then, ideally we could have maybe 2 shooters right here on our wings on the right side of the floor. Okay, it doesn't really matter if you want to switch up the sides a little bit, that's fine too. Okay, so how this play is going to start is we have number 4 setting a screen here for number 1. Now, number 1 is coming off that screen, and they're eventually going to look to attack the basket. But as that is happening, number 5 is coming up here, and they are setting a screen for number 4. Then number 4 is coming off that screen almost as if they're rolling to the basket. So we have number 1 right here is going to attack the paint once that screen is being set, right? And we have number 4 diving to the basket coming off the screen being set here by number 5. Now, eventually what we'll see most likely, right, is somebody switching onto number 1 off of that initial screen, right, to cover number 1 right here. It's going to be difficult for the defense to switch onto number 4 after that second screen. The focus is probably going to be a lot more here on number 1, right? So we have number 1 attacking that basket, and we're probably going to get an easy lob in here to number 4. Okay, if we see the help defense kind of collapse and leave number 3 right here, then we're also then going to have a pretty easy chance for a kick out to number 3 for a wide open jump shot. Okay, so let's take a look at that again. So we have our point guard right here with the basketball. We have our 1 in, and we have our 4 out here. 4 is going to start by setting a screen here for number 1. Number 1 is coming off of that screen with the basketball, but they're not going to start attacking the rim quite yet, because as that's happening. Number 5 is setting this screen here. Number 4 is coming off that screen. As that's happening, number 1 is attacking. Right, we have an option here for a layup if that happens. If not, we have a lob option here to number 4. And again, if the defense collapses on number 4 and number 1, right, then we have a kick out here to number 3, or even a kick back to number 2 for 2 outside shots. So you want to put some shooters here in the number 2 and number 3 position. All right, folks, that is all we have for today's particular topic. If you made it this far into today's lesson, it is greatly appreciated. Now, if you guys could also do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to our channel, it would also be greatly appreciated. We are the Online Basketball Academy. My name is Coach Danny, and I continuously upload different basketball plays, basketball systems, basketball tactics, and basketball drills that youth basketball players or training basketball players can use or basketball coaches can use with their players and their teams. Like I said, folks, if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to make this type of content for you all, that would be greatly appreciated. Till next time, peace out.